Namaste, sir. Vasanta Lakshmi, can you please?
Namaskaram, Mama.
Namaskaram.
Sir, we can start, sir. We are live, sir.
Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. With the abundant blessings of our Acharya Swamiji, we are continuing with our study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, the concluding chapter, with special emphasis on the commentary of Sri Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada. Chapter 18 is a summary of all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita, including Vedanta, as Shankara himself pointed out in his introductory passage of chapter 18. Starting with distinction between Tyaga and Sannyasa, Bhagavan mentions that as far as Karma Yogis are concerned, forgetting Sannyasis and Jnana Yogis, Yajna, Dana and Tapas are a must. They must be done. Bhagavan went into the analysis of karma, karta, etc., jnanam, etc., and he categorized all of them into the basic categories of three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Now he goes on to categorize dhriti. He mentioned in the previous shloka buddhi and dhriti. Now buddhi he completed. Now he has started with dhriti. Yeah, now shloka 33.
Dhrutya yaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriyaha yogina vyabhicharanya dhrutis sa partha satviki.
Dhriti is resolution, mental resolve to take up and complete any activity. Sa dhritihi satviki. That dhriti is satviki, which yaya dhritya manaha pranendriya kriyaha dharayate. By which dhriti, by which mental resolve, manas, mind, prana, all the vital breaths, indriya kriyaha, the activities of indriyas, sense organs, karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, all of them are dharayate. They are controlled. Dharayate means supported. Here it means controlled, not going in adharma path. Uchshastra marga pravrittehe dharayate. Shankara says. Uchshastra marga pravrittehe. A tendency to go in a path opposed to shastras. That should be controlled. That is dharayate. What should be controlled? Manas should be controlled. Pranas should be controlled. And indriya kriyas should be controlled. If that kind of dhriti is there, that is satviki dhriti. How to control? Yogena avyabhicharanya. Avyabhicharanya. Never changing. Avyabhicharanya nitya samadhyanugataya. Continuous focusing on Paramatma. That is avyabhicharanya. Never deviating from focus on Paramatma. Vyabhichara is deviation. So there is no deviation. Yogena, completely identifying yourself with Paramatma. If you can identify yourself with Paramatma with no deviation at any time, that is the method of controlling manas, prana and indriya kriyas through dhriti. So use yoga for exercising your dhriti on manas, prana and indriya kriyas. If you can do that, that is satviki dhriti. Now, yes, I picked up some Niti Shataka shlokas here. One is Langula Chalanamadas Charanavapatam Bhumau Nipatya Vadanodara Darshanancha Swapindadasya Kurute Gajapam Gavastu Dhiram Vilokayati Chatu Sathescha Bhumte. This is a comparison between a dog and an elephant. A dog, a dog, as soon as somebody offers any food, pindadasya, any food which is being offered to the dog becomes very happy. What does it do? It shakes its tail, it falls down on the ground in front of the donor, showing its vadana udara darshanam cha, showing its mouth, showing its belly. That is showing its happiness. Whereas Gajapungavastu, the best among elephants, not the ordinary elephant, the best among elephants, Dhiram, Vilokayati Chatushateshya Bhumte. When somebody is offering food, he doesn't accept it immediately. Dhiram Vilokayati, with great resolve. We are on the subject of Dhriti, so here he is using the term Dhira, same. With great mental resolve, though he may be liking that food, he may be expecting that food, but he doesn't show it. He is showing with great mental resolve, with great majesty, dignity. Chatushateshcha bhumte, after pleading 100 times, then only it takes that food. Take this food, take this food. You have to plead before the elephant, then only it takes. So this is the difference between behavior of dignity with dhriti and behavior with temptation. Langolachalanamadas charanavapatam Bhumau nipatya vadanodara darshanancha swapindadasya kurute gajapungavastu dhiram vilogayati chatu sateishcha bhamte. Next, we have another sloka here from Niti Shataka. Viramavirasayadasmate duradhyavatayato Vipadi Mahatam Dhairyadvamsam Yadikshrutimihase Api Jadavidhe Kalyanaya Vyapeta Nijakramaha Kulashikarinaha Kshudra Naitena Va Jalarasheha Api Jadavidhe. This is addressed to Brahma. Vidhi is Brahma. This is addressed to Brahma and he is being called Jada. Are, oh inert Brahma, what are you trying to do? We will never succeed. What he will never succeed? That is how, it's a very poetic way of saying how we should maintain our dignity. Virama virasayat asmat duradhyavasayataha. You are wasting your time, you are wasting your effort. That too on a useless activity. Virasa. Don't do that. Vipadi mahatam dhairyadvamsam yadikshrutimihase. You want to make great people deviate from their dhriti, from their resolve. That is your aim. But can you succeed? You can never succeed. So forget that. Then he is giving example as usual. Bhartrahari is giving two examples. Api kalyana, api jadavidhe kalyana yavapeta nijakramaha kula shikharinaha shudra naite nava jalarasheha. Vyapeta nijakramaha. having abandoned their own process, they have started with some process, great people. Kalyanaya, for the welfare of humanity, for the welfare of humanity, they have taken up their effort. Will they abandon that because of your mischief? Kulashikharanaha, Shudra, Naitenava, Jalarashaha. Have you ever seen mountain tops, Kulashikharanaha? There are 7 Kuladris in India. One of them is Himalayas, Vindhyas, etc., etc. Famous mountains, 7 of them. They are called Kuladris. Kulashikharinaha, those mountains, Jalarashaha, great oceans, do they ever show any difference? Does the mountain show any difference? Does the ocean show any difference? They are always the same, with great dignity. There is no difference in their approach or appearance. That is their nature. That is how great people are there. So don't try your mischief with them. That is the advice to Brahma. Then I have the next shloka from Niti Shatakam. Kim kurmasya bharavyatha navapushi kshmam nakshipatye yah kim vanasti parishramo janapate raste nayo nischalaha kim change kritamustrujanna manasa shladhyo jano lajjate nirvaha pratipanna vastune satam etadhi gotra vratam. Etat satam gotra vratam. Gotra vratam means kulachara. Their conduct which they have inherited in their family tradition. That is their gotra vratam. What? Nirvaha pratipanna vastuni. Once they have taken up something, once something has come their way, they will handle it properly as per dharma. That is their gotra vratam. That is their nature which they have inherited. That is the great people, satam. And he is giving examples. Kim kurmasya bharavyatha navapushi kshmam nakshipatye. Now this kurma, this tortoise which is supporting the entire structure of all the 14 worlds, including Adishesha, we saw yesterday. Does it not feel the burden? Bharavyatha, that misery, the trouble of carrying such a heavy weight. Is it not with that kurma? Yes, it is. Shmam nakshipatye. Does it throw away the burden? Does it throw away the burden of all these worlds? No, it never does. It continuously carries. Kim vanasti parishramo dinapate raste nayo nischalaha. Dinapati is Surya. He is continuously moving. Continuously with no drop, no stoppage, continuously, without break. Is it not parishrama? Is it not great effort to keep on moving? If somebody asks you to keep on moving all the time, will you be able to do? Kim vanaste parishramo dinapate raste nayo nischalaha kim change krita mustrujanna manasa shradhyo jano lajyate. Shladhyojana, those people whose conduct is being praised by everybody. Praiseworthy conduct. Shladhya, praiseworthy. Those who have praiseworthy conduct, manasa kim na lajjate. Will they not be feeling shyness? Angikritam utrajan, angikritam utrajan. Having accepted to do something and not doing it. Having accepted to do something and not doing it, will they not feel shyness? They will feel shyness. So that is the greatness of great people, Gotra Vratam. Kim kurmasya bharavyatana vapushi kshmam nakshipatye kim vanasya parishramo dinapate rastena yo nischalaha kim kange kritamutrajanna manasa shradhyo jano lajyate nirvaha pratipanna vastune satam etadhi gotra vratam. Then one more Niti Shatakam. In fact, this happens to be the shloka number 104, the last of the Niti Shatakam shlokas, which is suitable for our subject. Yadi na daivagatya jagasarojam kadachidapi jatam avakaranicaram vikirati tatkim krikava kuriva hamsaha. Some versions of Niti Shatakam may not contain these slokas, but they are there in some versions. You consider a possibility, Edi. Daivagatya, by destiny. Jagat aso asarojam kadachidapi jatam. At some point of time, kadachitu. At some point of time, because of destiny, this whole world becomes devoid of lotuses. Asaroja. Sarojam is lotus. This whole world becomes devoid of lotuses at some point of time because of destiny. Consider that. Avakaranicaram vikirati tatkim krikava kuriva hamsaha. In that condition, hamsaha, the swan, hamsa is known to like lotuses. Lotus pond is the living place for hamsa. So, will it behave like krikavaku? Krikavaku is cock. Will it behave like a cock with avakaranicaram vikirati? That means scattering soil. See, if you take a cock, the tendency is to dig itself into the soil and scatter the soil all over the place. Such an undignified thing will ever Hamsa do? Hamsa will never do that. Hamsa will maintain its dignity. Even when there is no lotus anywhere else, it will still maintain its dignity. It will not behave like a cock, scattering soil and digging itself, digging its beak into the earth. Yadi nama daivagatya jagadasarojam kadachidapi jatam avakaranikiram vikirati tatkam krikava kuriva hamsaha. Dhrityaya dharayate mana pranendriya kriyaha yogena vyabhikarinya dhritissa partha sattviki. Next.
यया तु धर्मकामार्थान् धृत्या धारयतेऽर्जुन प्रसङ्गेन फलाकाङ्क्षी धृतिः सा पार्थ राजसी.
Having described Sattviki Dhriti, now Bhagavan is going to describe Rajasi Dhriti. Sa Dhriti is Rajasi. That Dhriti is Rajasi. Yaya, using that Dhriti, Dharma Kamarthan Dhritya Dharayate. He is using that Dhriti for supporting Dharma, Kama and Artha. He is not supporting only the Dharma. He is doing everything properly. Dharma, he is doing. Kama, he has desire in his mind. Artha, he wants wealth. As per Shastras, without violating Shastras, you can have desires, you can have desire for wealth. You can, apart from Dharmas. Whereas in the case of Sattviki, he never cared for Artha, Kama, etc. He was continuously focused on Paramatma. This man is not like that. He is interested in everything, Dharma, Kama and Artha, and he is holding on to them with Dhriti. He is never deviating from Shastras. Prasangena palakankshi. As the occasion demands, prasangena means as the occasion demands, as the prasanga, as the occasion demands. If the occasion demands dharma, he will expect the fruit of that dharma, phala akankshi. If the occasion demands artha, wealth, he will expect the fruit of that wealth. I must get that wealth. Kama, if the occasion demands desire, as per Shastra, he will expect the fruit of that desire to be handed over to him. That Dhriti is Rajasi Dhriti. What is the main difference between Rajasi Dhriti and Sattviki Dhriti? Sattviki Dhriti never cared for Artha and Kama, never cared for any fruit. Whereas this man never deviates from Shastras, no doubt, but he is having one eye on Kama and Artha, apart from Dharma, and always looking for the fruits as the occasion demands. He will never give up the fruit. Prasangena palakankshi. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhritya dharajate arjuna prasangena phalakankshi dhritissa partharajasi. Next.
यया स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदमेव च न विमुञ्चति दुर्मेधाः धृतिः सा तामसी मता.
Dhritissa partha tamasi. That dhriti is called tamasi, which yaya, by using that dhriti, swapnam, bhayam, shokam, vishadam, madam, na vimunchati durmedhaha. That dhriti is tamasi, using which durmedhaha, kutsita medhaha, very ignoble intellect. Kutsita medhaha means very ignoble intellect, very low grade intellect, durmedha. So that kind of man, na vimunchati, never leaves, never abandons while holding on to dhriti. He is also having resolve. But what is his resolve made of? Not like Satviki and Rajasi dhriti. His dhriti is made of swapnam, bhayam, shokam, vishadam, madam. Swapnam is, in this context, it means nidra, sleeping. That means not being active. Daydreaming, you can say. If you are not sleeping, you are daydreaming. That means you are not doing what is supposed to be done. Bhayam, fearing anything, fearing of loss, fearing of any disagreeable circumstance. So I will not do that. I am afraid. That kind of attitude. Shokam, misery, always thinking of the past. Oh, I did that yesterday and I found myself in such a miserable condition. I won't do anything today. That is shokam. Vishadam, being despondent, being negative. Madameva cha. Madam vishayatevam atmanaha bahumanyamanaha. Whatever mundane objects are there in front of him, they are the only ones he will consider. That is madam. He never cares for anything higher. He is so much intoxicated. Madam is intoxication. He is so much intoxicated with mundane objects. Mattaha iva madam eva cha manasi nityam eva kartavya rupataya kurvan. So these activities which intoxicate him, he will treat them as if they are his duties. Kartavya rupataya. As if they are his duties, he will do with all seriousness those activities which intoxicate him, which throw up his ego. Such attitude, na vimunchati, he will never abandon. That means he will always hold on to this attitude. The attitude which this evil-minded, with low intellect man, the attitude which he will adopt is full of sleep, not being active, full of fear of consequences of good actions, full of misery of what happened earlier, full of despondency because of fear. Fear, despondency comes out of fear, vishada. And full of intoxication. Whatever object is there in front of him, which is agreeable to him, that only is the activity to be done. Forget about Shastra, throw the Shastra away. That is the attitude, that is tamasi dhriti. That is also dhriti. He has got to resolve, but wrong direction. Yaya swapram bhayam shokam vishadam madameva cha na vimunchati durmedhaha dhritissa partha tamasi.
सुखं त्विदानीं त्रिविधं शृणु मे भरतर्षभ अभ्यासाद्रमते यत्र दुःखान्तं च निगच्छति.
Now he is categorizing sukha into three categories. Pleasure, satviki, Satvika pleasure, Rajasa pleasure, and Tamasa pleasure. Now, Sukha itself, he is defining in this sloka before starting the categorization. Sukham tu idanim trividham shrunu me Bharatarshaba. Oh, best among Bharatas, Bharatarshaba. Rishabha is bull among Bharatas. Me shrunu, now I am going to tell you, listen. Sukham tu idanim trividham. Now I am going to tell you about three types of sukham, pleasure. What is sukham? Definition of sukham. Abhyasat ramate yatra dukkhantam cha nigacchati. By repeatedly practicing that activity, he feels more and more indulgence, ramate. By practicing repeatedly, abhyasat, that activity, he wants to indulge more and more, that gives him pleasure. Dukkhantam cha nigacchati. Not only it gives pleasure, it gives him the end of sorrow, the close of all his sorrows. By doing this activity, I forget all my sorrows, I derive pleasure, so I will keep on doing it. That is sukham. Sukham is not shreyas. Sukham is not for spiritual advancement. Sukham is purely sensual, connected with mind. That is the definition. Definition of sukha itself. Abhyasat ramate yatra. By repeated practice, it becomes more and more indulgent in that activity. First, he was showing some indulgence. Second time, it is giving so much pleasure. I will do it again with greater seriousness. Third time, even more seriousness. That is abhyasa. And he will derive more and more pleasure, and he will derive more and more end of his sorrows. Because every man has sorrows. Who does not have sorrows? So he wants to forget his sorrows. He wants to drown his sorrows in this pleasure. That is what he does. That is definition of sukha. Now he will describe the three types of sukha. First he is defining sukha. Sukham tidanim trividham shrunu me bharatarshava abhyasat ramate yatra dukkhantam cha nigacchati. Nigacchati means he definitely attains it. Nishchayena prapnoti. He definitely attains it. Next.
Yatra dagre vishamiva pariname mrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam.
Now, he is defining Satvika Sukham. Tat Sukham Satvikam Proktam. That Sukha is called Satvika. That pleasure is Satvika. Which Yat Agre Vishamiva Pariname Amrutopamam. Agre, at the beginning of that activity, it looks like a poison. At the beginning of the activity, it looks like a poison. At the end, pariname, when the result comes, amritopamam, it is like amrita. Visha and amrita. Look at the contrast Bhagavan is bringing. At the beginning, it is like poison. At the end, when the result comes, it is like amrita. Agre, purvam prathama sannipate. At the beginning, whenever you start that activity, jnana vairagya dhyana samadhi arambhe. What activity Bhagavan is having in mind? Shankara is explaining. Any activity which gives you jnana, which gives you vairagya, which gives you dhyana. These are the activities which are going to advance you in spiritual path. Jnana is knowledge, Paramatma jnana. Vairagya is dispassion from mundane pleasures. Dhyana is focusing on Paramatma. Samadhi, jhana leading to samadhi. Whenever you start any such activity, atyanta ayasa purvakatvat vishamiva dukkhatmakam bhavati. Why Bhagavan is considering this as visham at the beginning, poison? Because it involves a lot of effort. You have never done it before. It is atyanta ayasa purvakatvat. Tremendous amount of ayasa, tremendous amount of effort. Tiresome effort, that is ayasa. That kind of Anyone who is starting any of these activities will definitely recognize this, particularly dhyana, samadhi, etc. are not easily achieved. So they will look like poison only at the beginning. Pariname jnana vairagyadi paripakajam sukham amritopamam. At the end, when the result comes, you have obtained jnana, you have obtained vairagya, etc. That is the greatest sukha which this method has given you, this activity has given you. That is why it has taken you so close to Paramatma. So it is Amrita. Tatsukham proktam satvikam. That kind of sukha is called satvika. Vidvadbhihi, those who know truth, scholars, they call this Atma Buddhi Prasadajam. Now, this is not coming from anywhere else. This Visham and Amritam, that perception of Visham, that perception of Amritam, is not being told to us by somebody else. It's not coming from any outsider. It is coming from inside. Atma Buddhi Prasadam. Your own intellect, prasadam. Prasadam means nirmalyam, clarity. All impurities have gone, very pure. Swachhata, Salilatyaiva Swachhata. It is as clear water. The buddhi becomes as clear water. That buddhi prasadajam, Atma buddhi prasadajam. Your own intellect, Atma vishayava, Atma avalambanava buddhi, Atma buddhi. Your own intellect, because it is now related to Atma. That is Shankara's understanding, interpretation. That is why Atma Buddhi term has been used. Now this Buddhi has been directed towards Atma and it is sustaining Avalambanava. Atma Avalambanava. It is sustaining on Atma. It is directed towards Atma and it is sustaining because of Atma. And because of that, it has maintained a certain glory. That glory is prasada. That glory is impurities have gone because of the focus on Paramatma, that he gets that pleasure. Now, pleasure which was defined in a certain manner in the previous sloka has been raised to the highest level in this Sattvika pleasure. Please note this. Pleasure was defined as if it was ordinary sensual pleasure in the previous sloka. That is, whatever you consider as pleasure today, you have to make attempts to raise yourself to that level. That is the idea. When the same attitude towards pleasure is raised to the highest level, that is Sattvika pleasure. That is what it gives. It looks like poison at the beginning. It gives you the effect of Amrita at the end. And it is coming from your own intellect, directed towards Atma and supported by Atma. And because the intellect has become so pure, it has attained that glory, prasada. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname amritopamam tatsukham satvikam proktam atmabuddhi prasadajam.
विषयेन्द्रिय संयोगात् यत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखं राजसं स्मृतम्.
Tatsukham rajasam smritam. That sukha is called, that pleasure is called rajasa pleasure, which is exactly opposite of sattvika by the way it is defined. Vishayendriya samyogad yat agre amritopamam. The first one was agre vishamiva. Now this is at the beginning like amrita. Very sweet, like amrita. Amrita is supposed to be the sweetest object in whole creation. Sweetest. Of course, it gives you longevity. It gives you freedom from death for a very long time. That is why it's called amrita. So, it looks like amrita at the beginning. Why it is looking like amrita, he is explaining. Vishaya indriya samyogat. All your sense organs are associated with samyogat. Associated with what? With ordinary sense objects, Vishaya. When your sense organs are associated with ordinary sense objects, they will look like Amrita at the beginning. You want to taste something sweet, it looks like Amrita. You want to hear some music which is pleasurable, it is like Amrita. You want to see something with your eyes, which is giving pleasure to you, it gives Amrita. You want to touch something. Similarly, all these sense organs give you a feeling of objects which you desire. The feeling is like Amrita at the beginning. Then, Pariname Vishamiva, when the result comes, it is like poison, just opposite of what we saw earlier. Prathamakshane Amritopamam, Amritasamam, at the beginning. Pariname Vishamiva, why it is like poison at the end? Shankara is explaining. Bhagavan has just left it saying Pariname Vishamiva. At the end, it is like poison. Why it is being described as poison? When you are enjoying sense objects, ordinary, mundane sense objects. Bhagavan, Shankara is explaining. Balavirya Rupa Prajna Medha Dhanossaha Hani Hetutvat. It is going to result in loss. That is why it is like poison. What is the loss it is going to result? Bala in your strength, Virya in your vigor, Rupa, even your appearance, your strength, your vigor, your appearance, Prajna, your knowledge, your intelligence, Medha, your ability to retain, everything is gone. The moment you start indulging in sensual pleasures, Dhana, even your wealth is gone. Utsaha, of course, enthusiasm is gone. Enthusiasm to do the right thing is gone. Your enthusiasm is directed in the wrong way. So all this are losses, strength, vigor, appearance, intelligence, ability to retain in your intellect, even your wealth, even your enthusiasm. Hani hetutvat. Not only that, adharmatajjanita narakadi hetutvacha. It results in some loss and it results in some gain. Gain of what? Adharma. Because you have indulged in, mostly your indulgence will be adharma only. It will not be dharma. That is why it has come under this category. Adharma tajjanita. Because you have indulged in adharma, narakadi hetutvat. You will have to go to naraka, etc. Finally. You may not know it today. You may indulge in pleasure today, but tomorrow you will have to go to Naraka, etc. So it is Visham only. What else is it? Tadu upabhoga parinamante Vishamiva. At the end of this experience, it is going to be like poison in its effect. At the beginning, it was looking like Amrita because of the attraction of the sense objects which is being held by the sense organs. विषयेन्द्रियसंयोगाद् यत्तदग्रे मृतोपमम् परिणामे विषमिव तत्सुखम् राजसं स्मृतम्. Next.
यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनमात्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
Tat sukham tamasam udahritam. That sukha is called tamasa, which yat means which. Agre cha anubandhe cha mohanam atmanaha. Atmanaha mohanam. Agre cha anubandhe cha. Agre means at the beginning. Anubandha means when the result comes, when the consequence arises. At the beginning as well as at the end, it gives you a certain amount of pleasure. What kind of pleasure? Atmanaha mohanam. It is a delusive pleasure. It is like intoxication, like a man who is drunk. That kind of pleasure. Mohakaram atmanaha. It leads to complete delusion. You forget yourself. That kind of pleasure at the beginning as well as at the end. How it is happening? Uttham means how it arises. It arises because of nidra, alasya, pramada. These are the three causes of this condition. Nidra, you want to sleep without doing anything. Alasya, you want to encourage laziness, being lazy. Pramada, even if you do something, you will do it with no attention, negligence. First is complete abstention from activity, nidra, sleeping. Second is you are awake, you can do activity, but you don't want to do, laziness. Third is you have started with doing some activity, but with total negligence because under some pressure, somebody has forced you to do something, okay, half-heartedly you do it. So you will make all mistakes. So at that time, you behave like a drunk man, intoxicated man, but you derive pleasure, no doubt. That kind of pleasure is tamasa pleasure, which has taken you completely on the path of adharma. We find a lot of evil all around us, so it is very easy. A lot of killings, a lot of violence we see all around us. So it is very easy to understand what kind of pleasure those people derive. This is the kind of pleasure. यदग्रे चानुबन्धे च सुखं मोहनमात्मनः निद्रालस्य प्रमादोत्थं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्. Atmanaha mohanam can also be interpreted as deluding and not seeing Atma. Atma is there, full of light and glory, right in the body. But you don't want to see it because your attention is somewhere else. You have deluded yourself by shifting your attention from Atma. So, Mohanam Atmanaha can also be interpreted that way. Next.
न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्त्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः.
Now, Bhagavan is saying that, of course, this he has said before, as this is a summary of all that has been said. This is coming up again. He says the entire creation is full of these three gunas only, sattva, rajo, tamo guna. All creation, all human beings, everything which see around you, on earth as well as in other planets, Sarga, etc., everything is, all creation, everything other than Paramatma is because of Maya. And Maya, by definition, is Trigunatmika. It is always of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So, this point is being confirmed in this shloka. Sattvam, yat asti, whichever being is there, Prithivyam, on the earth, Vivi Deveshu, in the Swarga among Devas, Apanaha means also on earth, as well as among Devas in Swarga, whichever being is there, normally Sattvam refers to a living being, not mountain, etc. So, whichever is there, though that is also creation, that is also coming under Tamasa, mountain, tree, etc., all coming under Tamasa category. So, Sattvam includes everything, but for our understanding, normally it is interpreted as living being, but by definition, it is every being, including mountain, etc. Na tat asti, there is no being on earth or among devas in Swarga, which is Prakritijaihi Tribhirgunaihi Muktam. Muktam is free from Tribhirgunaihi, these three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Prakritijaihi, they are coming from Maya. Prakriti is Maya, Bhagavan's inseparable Shakti. Power of Maya is inseparable from Bhagavan. When Paramatma is all by himself, he doesn't exercise this Maya. When the time comes of creation, he exercises this Maya because it is driven by time. Time is also Maya. So Maya uses time to wake up Paramatma. And because of Paramatma's presence, Maya is able to create all this illusion. This whole thing is an illusion. That is why it is called Maya. That is Prakriti. The Prakriti is also defined as nature. Whatever you see around you is nature. That is nature for Paramatma also. It is there inseparable with him. That is how this whole process has to go on. All beings have to be given an opportunity to improve themselves. So that is why creation process has to start at the end of every pralaya. So this whole thing is an illusion which is created by Prakriti. That is why Prakriti Jaihi Tribhir Muktam, relieved of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, which are derived from, which are born from Prakriti, Ishvara's Maya Shakti. Ebhihi, these three gunas means three gunas have been defined earlier, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. There is no being which is free from these three gunas, derived from Prakriti, derived from Ishvara's Maya Shakti, either on this earth or anywhere else, including Swarga among Devas. This is a confirmation of the whole thing being an illusion, including ourselves. And we ourselves are made of these three gunas only. You can never get out of these three gunas. To become gunatita, to go beyond the three gunas, is our aim. That only a few people attain. They are called jnanis, they are called gunatitas, they are called jivan muktas. So, forgetting those people, all others are trapped in the three gunas. न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्त्वं प्रकृतिजये मुक्तं यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः. Next.
ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय विषां शूद्राणां च परन्तप कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि स्वभाव प्रभवैर्गुणैः.
Now, talking about human beings, because our reference is to human beings, not about mountain and not about yakshas and kinnaras and other people. They are all there. Let them worry about themselves. Our worry is about ourselves. So these human beings, Bhagavan has created four varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, based on their Swabhava Prabhavair Gunaihi, based on the gunas which are inherent in themselves. Now, before this subject starts, because it is a new subject, because he started saying the entire creation is made of three gunas, and then he says, human beings have been divided into these four categories based on the gunas which they have inherited. Now, before this subject is started, Shankara is giving an introduction. Sarvaha samsaraha kriya karaka phala lakshanaha satvarajastamo gunatmakaha avidya parikalpitaha samulaha anarthaha uktaha. Bhagavan has already made it clear that all this samsara, all this world around us is continuously being active, continuously enjoying the fruit, continuously is caused by certain causes, kriya karaka phala. And all of it, all the activity, all the fruit, etc., is influenced by sattva-rajo tamo gunas. And all this is avidya parikalpitaha, starting from avidya. Avidya is the genesis. Samulaha anarthaha uktaha, including the root, everything is useless for us. The whole creation, whole three gunas are anartha, useless for us. No use. वृक्षरूपकल्पनया च ऊर्ध्वमूलम् इत्यादिना तं च असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम् इति च उक्तम्. This whole samsara was described as a tree with roots at the top, urdhvamulam. And that tree should be cut with proper seriousness, using the sword of asanga, non-attachment. This was mentioned by Bhagavan. Tatra kya sarvasya trigunaatmakatvat samsara karana nivritti anupapattau praptayam tatha tan nivaktihi tasyat tatha vaktavyam. Now, this entire thing is made of three gunas, including yourself, including everything around you. But the aim is to get across, get beyond the three gunas, which is not easy. If everything, you are inundated in water, how to get out of that water? It's not easy. Tatha yatha tan nivartihi syat tatha vaktavyam. Now he is going, Bhagavan is going to introduce us into the method of getting out of this samsara. When you are inundated in these waters of three gunas, you have to get out of the three gunas. How to do that? That Bhagavan is going to tell us. Sarvascha Gita Shastrarthaha Upasamhartavyaha. The entire Gita Shastra, the purport of the Gita Shastra, Gita Shastra Arthaha. He is going to conclude now. He is coming toward the conclusion. So, एतावानेव च सर्ववेदस्मृत्यर्थः पुरुषार्थम् इच्छद्भिः अनुष्ठेयः. This passage, whatever is now going to come out of Bhagavan's lotus mouth, is actually the essence of all Vedas and all Shastras. And those who want to moksha, the final Purushartha, they should follow these steps. And with that intention, this passage is started. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Ityadihi Arabhyate. This passage is started. Now, Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam Cha Parantapa. Hey Parantapa, scorcher of foes, such a powerful, very courageous man, Arjuna. For these four categories, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, Karmani pravibhaktani svabhava prabhavair gunaihi. By the gunas which they have inherited, svabhava prabhava. Gunas have come from their basic nature. Based on that svabhava, based on that nature, which is coming out of the gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, karmani pravibhaktani, the activities which they should do, have been divided. Pravibhaktani, divided, have been allotted. Division and allotment is pravibhaktam. All activities have been divided and allotted among these four varnas based on the gunas which they have inherited, which form their nature. Now, this is the meaning. Now, quite a bit of detailed notes have been made by Shankara in this context. Now, most of the notes are concentrated. We are not going to all of them. Most of the notes are concentrated on explaining Swabhava Prabhavair Gunehi. What is Swabhava? Now, Swabhava has been interpreted in many ways, and all of them are absolutely relevant. So, one by one, he is taking. First interpretation of Swabhava is Ishwarasya Prakritihi Trigunatmika Maya. The Maya Shakti which is inherent in Bhagavan, which is inseparable from Ishvara, which is Trigunatmika, which is consisting of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So, these gunas have come from Ishvara, from Ishvara's Maya, and these gunas are prevalent among these four categories in different measures. That is the meaning. That is the first meaning, Swabhava. Second meaning is more easy to understand, more relevant. First meaning, both are going together actually. They are not independent meanings. They flow from one from the other. First one was all the gunas have come from Maya Shakti. Second one is Brahmana Swabhavasya Sattvagunaha Prabhavaha Karanam. Brahmana is identified by Sattvaguna Pradhana. He is having more of Sattvaguna. It doesn't mean he is all of Sattvaguna. No. Because all the three gunas are operating continuously in a flow. It is not as if one is having only one guna. Even at one particular time, these three gunas come into operation. We all experience it. Nobody can claim that he is always in Sattva Guna. Nobody can claim he is always in Rajo Guna. Nobody can claim he is always in Tamo Guna. No, it will never happen. That is being explained. That point is being explained now. How this category of four varnas came into being. Because Brahmana has predominant Sattva Guna. Similarly, Kshatriya Svabhavasya Sattopasarjanam Rajaha Prabhavaha. For Kshatriya, what is important for him? What is predominant for him? Rajoguna is predominant, subordinating Sattva. Sattva Upasarjan. He is having Sattva, but his Rajoguna is predominant and Sattva is going down. Now, Vaishya Subhavasya Tamopasarjanam Rajaha Prabhavaha. What is the difference between Kshatriya and Vaishya? For Kshatriya, also Rajaguna is predominant. For Kshatriya also Rajaguna is predominant. Vaishya also Rajaguna is predominant. The difference is, Shankara is explaining nicely. For Kshatriya, that Rajaguna was suppressing Sattvaguna. That means Sattvaguna was available. He is not using it properly. Whereas Vaishya, this Rajoguna, is suppressing Tamoguna. If he allows Tamoguna to come up, he will lose whatever he is having. That is the difference. Shudra Subhavasya Rajopasarjanam Tamaha Prabhavaha. For Shudra, it is predominantly Tamas. And what he is subordinating is Rajas. This is the difference. Now, what are the qualities which each Varna will display? Prashanti Aishwarya Mahamodhada Swabhava Darshanat Chaturna. The first one, Brahmana, will display Prashanti, serenity, no agitation, Prashanti. Second man, Kshatriya, will display Aishwarya, power, wealth, power. That is his predominant mark. The third man, Vaishya, will display Iha. Iha means covetousness. Always desiring something. That is the nature of Vaishya. He has to make wealth. Vaishya means what? He is always interested in trade. So he is interested in making more and more money. So that is Iha, desire. Desire marks Vaishya. What is the mark of Shudra? Mahamudhata, continuous delusion, great delusion. He cannot understand dharma and adharma. That is the problem. Now these are the qualities of the four varnas. Now this was the second meaning given. Now there is third meaning. Third meaning is Janmantarakrita samskaraha swabhavaha. Third meaning. Swabhava. The word swabhava is being defined again and again. How this came up? These qualities. You are defining four categories and you are ascribing qualities, gunas to them. How it came up? It came up because of the activities in the previous janma, previous births. Janmantarakrita samskaraha. Karana visheshopadanam. एवं स्वभाव प्रभवैः प्रकृति प्रभवैः सत्वरजस्तमोभिः गुणैः स्वकार्यानुरूपेण समाधीनि कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि. Now in the next shlokas, Bhagavan is going to define what are the karmas allotted to these four varnas based on the gunas. And those gunas have come from where? Because of the previous janmas. They have got allotted into those. It is like allotting people in various levels of employment. You interview people for various levels of employment. For some people, you give higher level. For some people, you give middle level. Some people, you give lower level. On what basis? On basis of their attainment, which you have judged based on the interview, isn't it? Based on their qualification, based on the interview. Similarly, Bhagavan allots them on the basis of what you have qualified in your previous janmas. That is the meaning. Now the next one is, is it a contradiction from Shastras? This is an objection from the opposite side. There is always an opposite side which Bhagavan, which Shankara refutes through his debating skill. We have seen it many times. We are going to say again and again now. More and more of it now. The opposing party says, Shastra does not say this. Shastra only talks about 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. It does not say it is based on gunas. Why you are bringing gunas into this discussion? That is the objection. Now the objection is answered by, Shastra may not say it explicitly. Otherwise, how do you justify these 4 varnas? That is the answer. These 4 varnas are justified based on gunas only, though it is not explicitly mentioned in Shastra. It is derivable from Shastra. The way Shastra has been explained, it is derivable. That is the answer given by Shankara. So that is how this shloka has been explained in detail because a very important subject, a new subject coming up. In fact, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasaha, Bhagavan made a mention in earlier chapter. Now that thought only has been taken up for further detailed discussion now. Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam, all these 4 varnas were created by me. Gunakarma Vibhagasaha, based on the gunas and based on the karmas. The karmas are determined by gunas, and gunas are determined by their previous birth activities. That point has come up now. There he mentioned very clearly Gunakarma Vibhagata, based on the gunas and karmas distinction. Now, how this came up? Now, the first subject he has taken is guna, and then karmani pravibhaktani, gunakarma vibhagataha. That phrase has been explained here based on the gunas which have come into being among the humanity. Based on the predominance of the gunas, karmas have been allotted to them. What karmas have been allotted are coming in the next slokas. Brahmana kshatriya vicham shudranam cha parantapa karmani pravibhaktani svabhava prabhavair gunaihi. We conclude today's lecture with this, and then we meet again next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. IST. This subject which has come up now is a very controversial subject. I know that. It's a very interesting subject. But the more we go into it in the future slokas, all the controversies will disappear. All the misunderstanding will disappear. Bhagavan makes it absolutely clear, absolutely pleasant, pleasing. There is nothing to get displeased. So I want to close this session with that assurance. Any questions?
If anyone has any questions, kindly unmute and ask. Sir? No questions, sir.
No questions. We close for the day. We meet again next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. I take this opportunity to wish all of you happy Deepavali, happy Ganga Snanam, happy Naraka Chaturdashi Snanam tomorrow morning, and all the pleasures, all the happiness that goes with Deepavali. The most important happiness, pleasure is the dawn of light, Deepavali, the row of lights. Light driving away darkness from our minds. That is the subject, and we are with Krishna. Krishna, who is the hero of tomorrow's Deepavali, who dictated tomorrow's festivities. It was Krishna who is the source of all these festivities, and we are with Krishna in this. We are very lucky. It's a coincidence that we are in Bhagavad Gita. That too, the last important chapter. Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Shri Raja Rajeshwarye Jaya Jaya.
Happy Diwali, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next week. Har Har Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara. I'm ending them.
Thank you.